All right, let's talk about the absolute heart of data in Golang, structs. Seriously, if you're writing any Go code, these are the fundamental building blocks you're going to use every single day to shape your programs.
I mean, think about it. You need to represent a user or a product or maybe some server configuration. How do you actually bundle all that related info together in a clean way? Well, in Go, the answer is always the struct.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the basics, what a struct is, the blueprint. Then we'll dive into something critical, the difference between copies and pointers. After that, we'll get into a cool Go idiom, the power of the empty struct. And we'll finish up with the secret language of tags, something that'll definitely come up in senior-level interviews.
Okay, let's kick things off. Part 1. What exactly is a struct? Let's build that foundation.
You know, the official definition sounds a bit academic, but all it really means is that a struct is a collection. It's just a way for you to create your own custom data types by grouping together other types, like strings for a name, an integer for an age, and bundling them all into one neat little package.
And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. The struct definition itself isn't the data, it's the blueprint. It's like an empty form for a person that has slots for a name, an age, and a city. The actual people, Alice, who's 30, or Bob, who's 42, those are the instances that we create from that one blueprint.
So when you actually go to fill out that form and create an instance, this is the way to do it. This is the gold standard. You should always initialize your structs using the field names, just like you see here. Why? Well, it's way more readable, but more importantly, it's robust. If you go back and add, say, a city field to your person struct later on, this code won't break. It's a lifesaver.
Okay, with the basics down, let's get into what is probably one of the most important concepts for any Go developer to really truly master. Getting this right can literally make or break your application's performance.
Here's the deal. In Go, structs are value types. That means when you assign a struct to a new variable, like on the left, you're making a complete photocopy of it. Every single byte is duplicated in memory. Now, if that struct is huge, that's incredibly slow and wasteful. The solution is what you see on the right, using a pointer. That little ampersand and gives us the memory address. So instead of copying the whole house, we're just copying the street address, which is tiny and super fast.
So, why is this such a big deal? Two big reasons. First, performance. Passing around a tiny address instead of a giant chunk of data is just way more efficient. Second, and this is crucial, is behavior. If you pass a photocopy of a struct into a function and change it, the original is untouched. If you want a function to actually modify the original data, you have to give it the address, the pointer. Nailing this is just fundamental to writing good Go.
All right, now for something a little more advanced. This is a Go idiom that once you get it, kind of feels like a secret handshake. It lets you know you're in the club. I'm talking about the empty struct. But before I just tell you what it is, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the single most memory-efficient data type in all of Go? We've got integers, booleans, all sorts of things. Which one takes up the absolute least amount of memory?
The answer is 0.
That's right, 0 bytes, zilch, and the data type that pulls us off is the empty struct, written simply as struct square brackets. Because it has absolutely no fields, the Go compiler is smart enough to optimize it so that it consumes no memory whatsoever, and that makes it an incredible tool for optimization. So where do you actually use this thing? Well, the classic example is building a set using a map. You only care about the keys, whether an item exists or not, so you can use a zero-cost empty struct for the values. Another great use is for signaling on channels. You just want to send a notification that something is done without any actual data. The empty struct is perfect. And finally, you can use it to group related methods on a type that doesn't need to hold any state itself.
Okay, for our final section, we're going to go deep. We're going to talk about a really powerful feature that allows your structs to communicate with other parts of the Go ecosystem. We're talking about struct tags.
This is the perfect analogy. Imagine you're putting little sticky notes on the fields of that blueprint we talked about. Now, the key thing to understand is that the struct itself completely ignores these notes. They're not for the struct. They are instructions for someone else, usually another Go package, like the JSON encoder.
Let's make this real. Check out this user struct. See those strings in the backticks? Those are the tags, our sticky notes. We're leaving instructions for the JSON package. The first one says, hey, for my name field, I want you to call it lowercase name in the JSON. The one on internal secret with a dash, that's saying, this is for my eyes only. Ignore this field completely. And that last one, omit empty, is super handy. It says, Only include isPublished in the output if it's not empty, or in this case, if it's not false.
And voila, here's the result. The field name is lowercase, just like we asked. The secret field is gone, completely excluded. And because isPublished was false, it was omitted. We have completely controlled the final JSON output, all without changing the names of the fields in our actual Go struct. That is the power of tags.
So how does this magic actually work? It's a concept called reflection. When you tell the JSON package to process your struct, it doesn't know anything about your user type ahead of time. So at runtime, it inspects it. It goes through each field one by one, looks for those sticky note tags, reads the instructions, then reads the actual value from the field, and uses all that information to construct the final JSON output. It's basically a program examining its own structure to figure out what to do.
And this brings us to a huge point for anyone aiming for a senior engineering role. This is a very, very common interview question, and it's designed to test if you understand what's really happening under the hood. But the good news is, after these last few slides, you already have everything you need to nail the answer.
A really strong answer here would hit these 3 points. You'd say that it works using Go's reflect package to inspect the struct at runtime. Then you'd explain that you, the developer, control the output using JSON struct tags. And finally, you'd give a couple of quick examples, like renaming a field using omit-compt or hiding a field with a dash. That shows you don't just know what to do, you understand how it works. That's a huge senior-level distinction.
So there we have it. We've covered the whole journey. From the basic blueprint of a struct, to the critical difference between copies and pointers, all the way to advanced tricks with empty structs and the secret language of tags. At the end of the day, they are the foundation, the very DNA of almost every complex application you'll build in Go. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?